This video was brought to you by the TLDR store. Watch to the end of this video for a brand new product announcement. On June 21st, Swedish Prime Minister Stefan Löfven became the first Prime Minister in the country's history to be ousted by a no-confidence vote. Since then, the country's politics have been in turmoil, without a permanent government or a clear route forward. So let's explain what's happened in the last 24 hours and how Löfven managed to get back into the top seat. Now, we covered Sweden's political situation in much more detail in a recent video, which is linked below, and I'd recommend watching for additional context. But this turmoil, more than anything, comes down to political fragmentation. Like many European countries, Sweden's political system is designed to foster coalitions. Ordinarily, this is fine, with parties working together, forming coalitions, and cooperating. In fact, it's so common in Sweden that there's even standard coalition groupings. Most notably, the centre-right Alliance Coalition and the centre-left Red and Green Coalition. So, what's changed? Well, the Sweden Democrats have entered the fray. And as we explained in our full video, the Sweden Democrats are a right-wing nationalist party. Due to the party's policies and some of their questionable politicians, other parties have broadly agreed not to work with them. Initially, this worked fine because their vote share was only small, but with support for the Sweden Democrats rising, it became increasingly difficult for the other parties to form coalitions without them. This came to a head in the most recent election, where the 2019 coalition was only just approved. The Swedish constitution dictates that a government can form as long as less than half of MPs disapprove. Essentially, as long as most MPs don't actively reject you, then you're good. Löfven's party were able to get in on this provision, teaming up with the Greens and then convincing 3 allied parties to abstain, thus limiting the opposition to below the 50% threshold. And this worked until controversy arose surrounding rent controls. Now, this dispute is a little complicated, but all you need to know is that one of the abstaining parties decided enough was enough, and with the support of the right-wing Sweden Democrats, in June they put forward a motion of no confidence, one that passed, kicking out Löfven's coalition. This might not seem that monumental to you, but remember, I said that the Sweden Democrats had broadly been ostracized by the main parties. The left parties didn't suddenly agree with the Sweden Democrats on much, but even teaming up with them to bring down the government was a big deal. So, with the old government gone, politicians scrambled to try and find a new one. In the end, Löfven re-emerged with a new plan, and this Wednesday, an SPD Green coalition was approved. Or at least not rejected, with just over 50% of members either voting to approve or abstaining. Now, this might seem like a major success for Löfven, and well, Politico did describe him as the Harry Houdini of European politics, but this isn't over yet. His position might have been reinstated, but his place in Swedish politics is no less tenuous. In fact, the real stress test will be when he attempts to pass his 2022 budget through Parliament in December. Löfven has promised that if he fails to do this, he'll resign, and with the current parliamentary makeup, that looks very possible, especially considering that 2022 is an election year. Elections might currently be scheduled for September of 2022, but if Löfven is forced to resign following budgetary failure, these elections might end up being brought forward. But even if they are, it's not clear the issue will be solved. Because remember, the core issue here is fragmentation, and the electorate are no less fragmented. So it's very possible that the same situation could emerge after an election, with no clear government still in place. One change that has emerged, though, is legitimization of the Sweden Democrats. Not only did they form a temporary agreement with the Left Party to help pull down the government, but they also recently announced a joint immigration policy with the moderates. Maybe then the Sweden Democrats are being allowed out of the cold and beginning to be welcomed into the centre-right coalition. In fact, Associate Professor at Sortedun University, Nicholas Eilert, told the Financial Times that the psychological effect of the Sweden Democrats' breakthrough on other parties was huge. It broke the traditional patterns of cooperation. We're getting close to new patterns, but we're not there yet. And it wouldn't be the first time that a shift like this took place either, with Nordic neighbours Denmark and Norway also seeing right-wing nationalist parties slowly welcomed into the political fray. Although, admittedly, their nationalist parties didn't have links with the neo-Nazis. But what do you think? Will this new government survive? And is it good for Sweden's democracy that the Sweden Democrats are becoming more integrated? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. So, at the beginning of this video, I promised a new product announcement. And, well, here it is. Regular viewers will know that we make pin badges featuring our countries with shoes designs, and that we have loads of countries, including Sweden. However, we don't have the Nordic nations of Iceland and Norway. At least, not yet. So, in August, we're going to be releasing these new pins alongside a full Nordic set, containing all 5 Nordic countries on a custom signed backing card. Check out the badges that we have on sale, or pre-order these new ones by clicking the link in the description. Thanks so much for your support. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified every time we release a new video. Special thanks to our Patreon backers who make videos like this one possible. And if you want to see your name at the end of videos, then you too can back us on Patreon. The link to that is in the description.